Welcome to MotoGP Mac, where MotoGP fans come to congregate and fanboys fear to tread.
You nearly fucked that
You
one up,
did.
I know, kid.
Yeah.
You carried it
You know,
through.
I left it off last week and had one fucking nutbag comes out of the woodwork.
Yeah, well, Sean, you said it, set the bar high.
Yeah.
So,
He was a little nut. Apparently, you think the Japanese are doing fine, according to
Who?
him. That nut brick monkey.
Yeah.
I'm like, the guy. I should.
oh, is this the fella? It was this the fella that was saying that you're a Ducati fan?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not. I'm
Okay,
like,
yeah.
he's a nut.
So look, yeah, I'll just respond to that right now. You don't respond to it, and like he did make a very valid point in his argument, and he said that you forget that Ducati had the exact same concessions. And
Yeah, but they were
wait, shut up! I said, don't you answer. I am answering back to this guy.
then I'm answering back to you after that. Okay.
So, what this guy, whoever it is, tends to forget is that when Ducati had the concessions, they were a brand new factory into the racing. They didn't have any MotoGP experience, and they were then benefiting from a getting up to speed concession.
Correct.
Honda and Yamaha have been in the sport for years upon years, and they are benefiting from a concession because they did not move with the times. And now they found themselves in a League 5 division playing in the Premiership. That's completely it. Whether we agree or disagree with the concessions, the argument to say that newer teams got concessions is null and void as because they were new teams.
They're supposed to when they're new.
Exactly. So anyone ever referencing the fact that other teams got concessions when they joined, it's not like apples and apples.
Yes.
Yamaha and Honda have been in the championship for donkey's years, and therefore they should not be benefiting from concessions because they should have been developing correctly. Like, I think it's actually an embarrassment to the likes of Honda and Yamaha that new teams have come in with far, far less racing heritage or experience and blown them off the fucking table.
Yes.
And it's not about fanboy, and it's not about pro this or pro that or pro anything. That is the ultimate fact of the situation.
Yeah. Yes.
End of story. There is no more to add to it. You know, that cannot.
Somebody told me, let me ask you a question though, just so I make sure, because my memory isn't that good. A member had told me that they said Ducati's concessions, even when they got them, were like for 2 races, and they got a couple tires. They didn't get.
They did benefit from extra testing and stuff, as right so did KTM and such going forward, and Aprilia, right? Again, that is fine, right? But the likes of Honda and Yamaha have not developed for the past 6 or 7 years correctly. They haven't moved with the times. They haven't taken brave decisions. They have gone with the fundamental development processes that they have used for years upon years. The game has changed. Like, if you look, and I challenge anyone in this world to look at the 2018 Ducati, right? Look at the front wings, the air intake, and the side wings, and you will see that from 2018, they have been developing those wings and whatnot in a very, very similar fashion to what they have now. That is how long they're developing just those sections of that. What were Yamaha and Honda doing at that stage? They were fucking sound asleep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Sound asleep. And they brought, and their development of motorcycles was engine, chassis, tires, whatever, right? no aerodynamics, right? You look at how, and I watched a very, very interesting podcast with Adrian Newey. And if you don't know who Adrian Newey, let's just see, put it this way. He can see how air moves.
Yeah.
He can see, right? He is one of the most leading vehicle dynamics aerodynamicists in the world. Like Aston Martin signed him for like 13 million a year. A good Formula One driver doesn't even get fucking paid that, right?
No. How much?
13 million a year they signed him for, right? They've given him shareholdings of Aston Martin Formula One. Like, this guy is a walking god. He has like 13 or 14 world championships.
The air whisperer. Anyhow.
But like they reckon that.
Also, what gets under my skin is what gets under my skin is when people say, "Well, if they sat on their ass and then they didn't get anywhere, that's justification that they should get more concessions." No, you get your ass going more.
No.
You know?
Look, there's that. No, I'm keen to get onto the race, but there's that, and there's the other thing that I haven't heard from for the last month. And can anyone guess what that is?
I want to guess, but
go on, have a
all
guess.
The riders, I was going to say riders, but all the riders are locked in. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I haven't heard, but I'll probably hear it going on for the next week or so. But he was on a 23. He's not on a 24. So for the last month, we heard absolutely nothing from the Marquez people, who are going like, "Oh, but sure, like he's not winning because he's on a 23. He's on a 23 and he won. And this weekend now, and they will come out and force again. You know, oh, Mark was so far behind because he was on the 23. And yeah, but Eni Bastianini is by no means a superstar rider. Do you know what I mean? As in the alien, he's on cusp of alien. Mark should be fucking hammering him. Do you know what I mean? But he didn't have an answer anyway. We'll go through it anyway.
Dealer and people they're really up on Marquez winning the title. They think he's, they swear he's going to win.
I think.
And by the way, they weren't happy about the people in the thing. Were not happy about them getting the engine, even if it doesn't make, like you say, even if it doesn't make a difference. People did not like the fact that the Japanese got it didn't have engine freezing when the Europeans did. They should. Everybody says it should be across the board. If it doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even I would tend to agree with you to disagree with you, right? Ducati, Aprilia, and even KTM. Like KTM is in dire financial trouble, lads. You know that, right?
Yeah,
they're bad.
Right? Those three manufacturers cannot afford to run a dual engine development program.
Yeah,
they can't. They just fucking can't. And let's call a spade, right? Like developing an engine, you're talking a couple of $100 million.
Right.
But
most people there across the board said if you're going to do whatever you're going to do one, do the other, which means if they're out of money, then freeze it for the Japanese too.
Yeah, but see, you can't, because it's written into the rules of the concessions.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know exactly.
So what you're going to try and do is you're going to open up Pandora's box of a conversation.
Yeah, it is, but it's what has more priority, the concessions or the latest mandate you put out?
Well, you could, right? But like the concessions are there, right, which everyone would benefit from in 2027, right? Until midpoint 2027, right? In the way of like when 2027 starts, everyone gets concessions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The same concessions that Yamaha and Honda have.
Right.
Okay, so that's fair, right? Then at the midpoint, there will be a review of those sessions, like there is every year, and then there will be the start of the change, right? Now, I don't think anyone is going to go from D to A straight away. I think it'll be more of it makes sense throughout the year for me, anyway. But the concessions, like I don't agree with it I don't agree with it on principle. I do agree that Yamaha and Honda need some sort of support, and within the current testing regulations, they would never, no matter a budget, they would never have the actual amount of time that they need to catch up. They will never have it. Never, ever, ever, ever. Like even
that's the only thing I stick with you. I just can't fathom that they're going this slow. I just, and I'm the one who always says that they have weak engineering, but my God, what are they, the Three Stooges?
It's not in. But see, Jake, that's again, engineering has fuck all to do with it right now. It has fuck all to do with it, right? Because the bike is not how to say, the concept of the bike that they have is wrong, right? You heard Zarko say about Honda, the DNA of the bike is wrong. And that DNA is not engine thing. That DNA is that someone with a blank sheet of paper starts off somewhere to design next year's bike, right? And what they're carrying over is they're carrying over 2024 parts into that bike, which a bike is that they already know is not working, right? And like you look at it, you look at the likes of Newey and this, that, and the other. He was talking in this documentary about, contributing to all the other departments and having all the other departments, so from drivetrain to engine or drivetrain engine to aerodynamics, chassis, all of these people working as one function, right? But an engine person might want something for their engine, but it might fuck up the aerodynamics, and the chassis fellas are like, oh, well, we can't fit it in there. Do you know what I mean? It's too tight. So there has to be ebb and flow, and it's getting those departments to work well. And this is one of the key things that Adrian Newey, despite being a guru for design and this, that, and the other, he understands how to get the most out of these people. And what you see with Honda is you see the same thing year upon year, is that they build the bike, they build the chassis, they build the engine, then they decide, oh, right, let's put some aerodynamics on it. Right? And that's not how it works, right? Because all of a sudden, for example, the bike is going down the road and they put a front wing on it, and now the bike's angle of attack has changed. The engine is now sitting further forward in the chassis because the front of the chassis is being pushed down constantly, and now the weight and the center of gravity of the bike is pushed off. And that's a fundamental design error that you can never fucking engineer your way out of. And that's just simply so. Like for Yamaha and Honda, like Honda doesn't really have an engine deficit. It does in a small bit. In acceleration.
No, their engines are good.
No, they're not. No, accelerations are bad. Marquez said it for years. The engine is on acceleration is where one of the key areas.
They have top end.
Yeah, they have top end, but it's great to have top end. But if you're not getting to that top end,
that's enough.
We're not. Exactly. So look, for me, I would genuinely look at it in the way in the way that the fundamental flaw of the bike is not the bike, it's the actual concept of the bike and how the bike is started off from day one. And I don't see that changing in Honda or Yamaha. Well, maybe I do see it changing in Yamaha, but I don't see it changing in Honda for a long time.
It's gonna be with the Yamaha. Yeah, that's what I always say.
Yeah.
But how about the race, guys?
So the race, for me, I think it was probably one of the races of the season.
Yeah.
I think, I think Martin is in a little bit of Pecco's head. You could see it like yesterday or on the sprint race. He beat him off the start. Today he beat him off the start, although Pecco did come back at him. You could see very early, while Pecco was leading, he wasn't comfortable with the bike. There was some
right from the start that he did not look comfortable on that bike.
Yeah. I don't know. Did he have graining on the front or rear tires, but like when he was on the brakes for the first 10, 12 laps, you could see it, like the back of the bike was kicking out, where he does let it kick slightly, but it was more. And then he just like as soon as Bastianini passed him, I think within 4 or 5 corners, he pulled a half a second gap straight away. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, this is definitely there's something up. Now, it was strange, and like I was listening to Haji, and like Pecco did come back, and he came back to 130 points something, and Haji was like, he's either going to crash or he's going to catch him. It's one or the other. But he said, I think is going to be the first one. Do you know what I mean? And you knew it. And then he kept doing it. And like to be fair, he took 1.8 seconds out of the 2 boys in front of him, which was a lot, right? They weren't battling, so it's a lot to take that out.
And quickly too. They took that amount out quick.
Yeah, like he had like 12 laps to go when he started, you know what I mean? And then obviously the inevitable happened, and you could see it, you know, the front just tucked on him, and that was it. But I did say when they were going, I thought Bastianini was going to win it. You know what I mean? When the 2 boys were battling hard at the front, I was like, they're fucking destroying their tire in my own head. And that's why I said, like, so I wouldn't rule out the Beast winning it. Like, you know what I mean? He looked brilliant. But he was very, very patient, so he was very unbeast-like. If you know what I mean. Normally,
it was a consistent trudge for the front. It wasn't like this blast to the front. He was did it a little bit more until he hit the front, until he got up near the front.
Yeah, he waits though. He normally just waits for him to make a mistake. The same thing at Silverstone. Jorge, ran wide, and then he came in, and bam, that was it.
Yeah, but I think this time, he was so much faster than him. You could see it. Like Jorge was closing off lines. There was one dirty move, all right. I think it was into 7 or 8, and like he wiped the nose of him in the braking zone. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, hey, fucker, like that's a bit. I get it. You want to stay in front, but that's a rider gentleman's agreement that you don't do that. Like, do you know what I mean? So, and then last lap, look, fuck it. It was the perfect thing. And, there's a lot to be said. And I know Crafar was saying like, oh, if you penalize a rider for making a move in the slowest corner of the track and there's contact, then that's not racing. And, to stay consistent in my own thoughts, right? I've always said that if you do a move and you impact another person's race, do you know what I mean? You should get a penalty. And I kind of still agree with it, but I still think it was a clean enough move. Do you know what I mean? Martin could have lifted the bike at any stage. Do you know what I mean? But he chose to hold in there as well. Do you know what I mean? So that's where then I come back and I was like, okay, it's not all Enea Bastianini fucked it up the inside and bashed him off. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Jorge Martin had a choice, and he continued to lean in there, in my view. So
I would have leaned into it.
Yeah, I thought he saw an opening and he went for it. There was, what's the old the rule of thumb is a door width. He had that door width. He went in.
But he didn't stay on the track, Jake.
Huh?
He didn't
stay
on the
track. Left. Martin gave him more room, right?
Well, Martin had to pick the bike up eventually, right?
Yeah.
But if you watch the race after, rewatch it again, right? And when Bastianini passed him, he rode up onto the curb, and then he went off the edge of the curb, out onto the runoff of the track. So therefore, he did not stay on the track to complete the move. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So realistically, you could argue, if he did that without Martin there, does that make sense? He still wouldn't have made like the touch.
Without that touch,
he would have been miles off the track. Do you know what I mean? This time he just fell off the edge of the curb, but technically you passed someone off the racing line or off the track, which technically is a penalty that you should give it back. Now, saying that, the fact that Martin, like, I know if it was me, and the fact that Martin did that earlier on with wiping my nose in the braking zone, which is a no-no, right? The riders all have agreed that you don't do it, right? Mm-hmm. I would have been pissed off as well and throw through. So I think there was a bit of a red mist there as well by the thing. Do you know what I mean? So, like, because every time Bastianini was going in, I think was it turn 8? Your man was squeezing right into the corner and stopping on the apex.
Yeah.
So he knew he wasn't going to get past him there. So it was either going to have an attempt here or an attempt at the last, or the third last corner. Mm. So, look, I think it was a great move. I hope there is no penalty from it. I think, but then saying that, for the stewards to be consistent, they do need to give a penalty. Does that make sense?
No, I think that this was just racing. I mean, it wasn't extreme.
It is, Jake, but everyone's turning around and saying we want consistency from the stewards, right? And this is why I've said it, even if I hold my own standards to it, if you affect someone's race with a move, you should be getting. So realistically, because Bastianini did not stay on the track, therefore you could deem him that he was out of control in that maneuver. Okay,
it's what it is.
Do you know what I mean? So, not that I want to discourage racing, but if I was to hold my own words that I've said in the past, that
own judgment.
Yeah. So, but then saying that, this situation is not a normal situation either. It's the last fucking lap of a Grand Prix. Do you know what I mean? Everything is on the line. Yeah. This was one of two places where he could pass him, because the other place, your man was doing some dangerous shit or dangerous moves. You can fucking.
What do we always say, though? Even when they said, what do we always say? The penultimate lap or the last lap?
The first lap and the last lap, yeah.
It's the last, yeah.
Yeah. First lap and last lap are always kind of. They're those ones that, like, definitely going out onto the green. I hate that fucking stupid thing. I don't mind it in the middle of a race, do you know what I mean, to have riders capping the fuck on. But in the last lap, you're battling. You're 3 centimeters from the fella in front of you at 160 mile an hour or 180 mile an hour. You're really following what he does, right? And if he goes onto the green and you go onto the green, then it's null and void. But if he goes onto the green and you don't go on the green, then he gets a penalty. And you're like, for fuck's, he's not gaining a 3-second advantage. Do you know what I mean? There's no way he's gaining that. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because you're right behind him. Look, it's just a fucking stupid rule to be there. I genuinely hope that there is nothing from it. I actually have Twitter open here, waiting to see if there is an update from it, or should I say X and not Twitter, or whatever the fuck it is. Mm-hmm. Because realistically, I would have said there would have been no penalty. Should there'd be no penalty should if Pramac were staying with Ducati next season, there would be no appeal to the stewards or fuck all. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that they're not staying with them, I think there could, and I think there could be. If you actually watch on MotoGP Twitter, they show where he goes off the track and back on, and realistically, I think it's going to something. Yeah, like Martin thinks it was too much, and Bastianini thinks it was on the limit. but in the end, I closed in the corner. Look, he is like, there is no doubt that Bastianini was much, much faster than him, and probably should have and deserved to win the race.
Yeah.
I just wonder the fact now that, like, because realistically, right, and like, I will be very honest, I have now a thought that the Pramac, under all circumstances, want Jorge Martin even more to win the championship and take it away from Ducati, right? So those 5 points could be very, very valuable. So it is definitely worth putting in an appeal to the stewards.
Yep.
To see whether they will get it. But we'll find out in the coming days.
Yep.
I thought Mark did an okay race. I think he was a bit of a lonely race, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think Pecco.
I don't think he wanted. Before the race, they said I was shooting for 4th, and I think he really meant it this time. It seemed like he got up in the 4th and just kind of hung up there.
That's all he had. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm going up there and boom, I'm done. That's it. You know.
Yep. He was a ways off from the front runners. So
yeah, look, he was. Yeah, he didn't. I think Neil Hodgins actually said it perfectly today when they asked him about Mark, and he said, and he just turned around and he said, "Mark is nothing for them, absolutely nothing." And it's right, you know what I mean? Like he I
want to say he said he was struggling. I think he said he was struggling. So he said in that after the race interview that it's either 4. We're gonna try to get 4th, but it's probably gonna be 5th.
Yeah.
So I don't think he specified exactly what was wrong. I want to say something with the rear tire, but yeah, he knew he didn't have it. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
on a 24. You said 24.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if 24s were like, okay, the first 2 bikes were 24s. You know, Mark, okay, in 3rd on the 23, but like if 24 is all dominant, you know, Morbidelli should be up there, especially around this track. He should be definitely there, you know. And I think an awful lot of people struggled to break through that ceiling, including Mark this weekend. Do you know what I mean? I need to go back and look at the lap times this race, this race meeting compared to the whole one of last meeting, just get an understanding of where his pace was. And it could be, for example, that the 24 is on average increased by 3 or 4 tenths of a second, where Mark might have only increased by 0.1, 0.2. Does that make sense?
Right.
So I think that's the other learning. And like the biggest difference with the GP24 is the fact that the bike is so new. They are still new. Do you know what I mean? Every time that bike runs, they're learning something. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Ducati nearly know everything about the GP23 in the development world of it, whereas with the 24, we need to go from it, but every time the 24 runs, they're learning more and more and gaining the potential on it. So yeah.
So is it better to stay on 23 than the 24? If you have that
at the start of the season, that's your sweet spot. You know what I mean? Like next season, anyone on the 24 will, for the first 2 or 3, 4 great races, will have an advantage, because I would be presuming the the Valencia test at the end of the season, they will run the new tires, start to run the new tires for next season on the 24. So they will start to get that data, and they'll know back to back, old tire, new tire, and they will be able to adjust those settings accordingly. for the tracks that they're going to come up to. Whereas, like, now, unless there is really, really weird circumstances, it's going to be harder and harder to win on a GP23. Like, if you look at Mark's win in Aragon, track conditions there played a massive part in that win. And his rider skill, do you know what I mean? I'm not taking anything away from it. But when you look at the likes of Pecco and Martin, and they were so far off of them, right? Mm-hmm. I have to think in my own head, they were like, I ain't fucking pushing 110% in these conditions. Right. Wipe myself out and fucking and whatnot. Do you know what I mean? So I think they
winning, right?
Do you know what I mean? And then when we looked at Misano 1, you know, Rain came in, Mark, Jack, Brad, all these guys were coming through in those wet conditions. And if you look at it, like the gap that was closed down in that lap, you could see Pecco was like, no, I'm not interested in crashing. Do you know what I mean? He couldn't afford to crash, you know.
Right.
And I think that's what we're going to see next weekend with Pecco now as well. You know, he's 24 points behind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he can't afford to crash now for 2 or 3 races. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. He has to be really strategic on how he, you know, maybe have to settle for a second or third or, you know, just to get some points because a fall, what is that, 16 points? I think he lost today. So,
yeah, he lost a fortune. Today, what was second? 16?
I think
so. 20 points per second.
Mm-hmm.
He was 23 back, and then he got 5 back on it when
No, he didn't. No. It went up to 29, I think.
Right.
So yeah. So I think he's 25 now.
25, yeah. You know, back down again. I figure
24. I think it's 24. But look, it is. It's one of these like Jorge Martinez on 341 and Pecco is on 317. So that's what's that is 24, isn't it? Yeah, I think 24. So
we only have a few more. We only got 6 more. Is this 6?
Yeah, and Bastianini is 1 point now ahead of Marquez, and Marquez last 3rd in the championship as well. So a bit of a tough day in the office, I suppose, you know, in that point of view. For Mark, you know, even like with getting a podium, it's still tough for him. Do you know what I mean? What else? I thought, what's his name?
Does he
thought there would be a little bit more. Who?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't want to throw you off. Go ahead.
No, I thought it was a bit of a tough race from Marco Bezzecchi.
He's an old tough year. He's had a tough year, Bezzecchi.
He has, but fuck it, Jake. He would be one of the ones that has as many laps around Misano done as Pecco. Do you know what I mean? So, and you know, he didn't look anywhere near threatening Mark either. You know,
right.
Like, you know, okay, Mark only finished, what is it, 1.5, 1.7 ahead of him on GP23. So the two GP23s were a thing. But I think Bez was on the, now I could be wrong here, but I think Bez was on the soft tire as well. So, you know, he did do a really good race in it, but I just thought he'd be a little bit more. Antonio had a fucking rough one, Mike. Did you see his crash on Friday? Fucking hell, did he?
Looked like his other crash, the one that dislocated his
shoulder. Yeah, he was just lucky that he went down on his right hand side rather than his left hand side.
Yeah, it just hit me. Yes, when he flipped on that shoulder, he got like momentum and he flipped. You're talking about DJ Antonio?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a rough one.
Yeah, I actually thought I didn't see him. I thought I wouldn't see him for the rest of the weekend. To be very, very honest.
Mm-hmm.
But lo and behold, out he came. Yeah, I thought it was pretty. Yeah, look, I thought the race all over it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The Aprilias, I don't know what is going on with them. It's a little bit strange. It's just so close, but yet so far. Like Maverick, he was 15 seconds off the race win. Realistically, he was 7 or 8 seconds away from a podium. Like, do you know what I mean? Which is a lot around a track that they do know well as well. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. At least no crashes, because they sometimes,
yeah, but there was only.
It was a shame because they were nipping on Ducati's tail for handling, and then it just went to dust. Like,
yeah.
Where did it go? Like,
but I think there's a lack of motivation within the riders now. Like, realistically, Aleix, while he will try, I think he's also in cruise home mode. Do you know what I mean? He's like, I want to fucking destroy myself. Maverick, I think, I don't think he has the fire in the belly to win anything with Aprilia in the way out. I'm leaving. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think it's because they're leaving?
Just has the skill. I don't think he has the skill. I'll say it.
Who?
Ralph, man. I just don't think he has the skill.
That's their best bet right there. He's the only one that's staying. So
yeah,
they got to put everything into him to get acclimated or whatever.
Yeah, and look, like you now worry like this probably is. Probably is Martin's best chance to win the championship in the next 2 or 3 years.
At Aprilia?
No, with Ducati.
Okay.
I think this year, and I think that's going to drive him on. I think going to Aprilia, the engine freeze now coming in. Like, we all know Aprilia are far behind on their engine, and we all know that Aprilia were ones that wanted to keep the engine development open, but somehow that agreement has been changed, which I find very weird. And then Rivola comes out and was complaining about the engine change. So I don't know. I think it's a very, very weird. I think it's a very weird situation currently within Aprilia, because with the engine freeze, they're so far behind. Like, you saw the horsepower coming out of the corners, they're so far behind.
Mm-hmm.
I would class them nearly as Yamaha spec. The Aprilia engine. So
pretty close, yeah.
It's pretty close.
That crash from KTM, they would be further down. They're 68 today, but they would be further down. So
yeah, and we like lads, we nearly had a Honda in the top 10. There was only yeah, and there wasn't loads of crashes. Do you know what I mean? Like, if there was 5 or 7 crashes or whatever ahead of them, you can say, oh well, okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was 3 crashes ahead of them. Do you know what I mean? So like, I would give big up to Joe and Mir and Luca Marini. They were 10th, or they were 11th and 12th. Do you know what I mean? But they were a genuine 11th and 12th.
Then Fabio, where did Fabio come in? 6th or 7th?
7th.
Hey, man.
Hey, he's riding his ass off, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's always did that. Since
lately he's been putting more coal to the fire. I noticed.
I feel like he's always giving it 100. Let's just say 110, something like that.
Yeah, we always said 110% over the years.
Yeah. And we all know about the V4. It's a V5.
We were the first
V4.
one to say that too. Remember?
Cross-playing V4.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will be coming out mid next year. You know that, yeah?
Yeah. When the site started, that's when we came out with it. You can tell when we first talked about the V4 with Yamaha. It was one of our first subjects.
When they signed Marmoni.
Yamaha, and the Honda's crap, and Marquez is the only thing keeping it around.
Yeah, but look, this is one of the things I can't wait for next year is to see Marquez and to remove anything from thing of he doesn't have this or he doesn't have that, or I can't wait to see the battling next year. Yamaha, Lynn Jarvis obviously came out and said that the middle of next year we should see the V4. So it kind of tells every other manufacturer that they're going V4 on the 850 as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot more into this than just they're launching a V4, because they're not just going to launch a V4 just for shits and giggles for the last fucking year, right? They're going to learn and get the data while they have free engine regulations to maximize it. So I think it would be a good idea. So look, it is. I think it'll be good for Yamaha, but I think also it's going to be. It means that 2026 is going to be a tough year for them. You know what I mean? Let's not make any, or let's not have any bones about it. 2027 is going to, or 26 is going to be a tough year.
Ducati's going to win 2025 and 2026. Okay, who's going to beat him for the next couple of years? Ducati.
Who's going to? No one. Yeah, and that's where I don't see, like, for the likes of Ducati, I don't see any problems with the engine freeze. Do you know what I mean? But the likes of, and even KTM, like, their engine freeze, their engine is quite good. It's there. It's competitive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Aprilia,
they're locking out the podium. Seems like almost every race is a.
Which, the GP24s or the Ducatis?
Yeah, let's say 24. Yeah.
Well, look, the 24 is no doubt faster, right? It would be a fucking ridiculous thing to say no, they're not. Do you know what I mean? They are, right? Because if they're not, then Ducati have gone the complete wrong fucking direction, like they did with the 23. Like, the 22 is faster than the 23, easier to ride and faster.
Right.
They couldn't change Pecco back to a 22. It was too late. The engines are sealed. Right. That's it. So, like, it will be interesting to see, though, like, next year, you know, the three that they've chosen for the 25s, and also, look, you know, Aldeguer coming in 25, he's going to have a 24, but 26 he's going to have a 26.
Okay.
So, which is going to be a 24 engine, lads, just so you know. Right. So
it's going to be interesting next year. I said it's going to be interesting next year, you know, with all the changes going on, different riders, different teams. You know, you mentioned Marquez, and it seems like everybody's making a change outside of, pretty much everybody, either a rider or, you know, different spec of something else. So.
Yeah. Interesting. It will be like, Aprilia next season and the season after with the current engine that they have, unless they bring out, lads, an almighty fucking engine upgrade. I just don't see it. And then, like, realistically, the only person they're giving any development parts to are Raul. Yeah. Now, I think they should give them to Aleix Espargaro, right?
Yeah, he's going to Honda, though.
and you'll be worried about Honda. Why?
You know
But,
how.
but they're not a threat. They're not a fucking threat. Like they're what? They're a second and a bit off. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to find a second in 6 months. They're not a hope. And judging by the bike that they brought out in Misano, they still don't know what fucking direction that they're going. Do you know what I mean? So,
that's why I thought it was so funny when that guy's like, "Well, Mac thinks they're gonna do fine." I'm like, Mac, what? Mac? He thinks they're so bad that the freaking thing can't. It's impossible for him to win. Don't even worry about it.
But I will mark progress where there's progress, right? And they are getting a little bit faster, right? Mm-hmm. But realistically, they're not getting fast enough consistently.
Not fast enough, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like Zarco can get that, and who Zarco was never. And let's be fair, Zarco was never one to threaten pole position all of this on Ducatis that often, right? Mm-hmm. And he can get the Honda within just about a second in qualifying. But he can do that for 1 lap, maybe 2 laps. He can't do it for a race distance.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So,
a little step, I guess. I don't know.
So, look,
Nakagami was good at that. Remember on the Honda? Nakagami could do a 1 lap wonder. Remember we used to call them kamikaze laps.
Yeah, Crutchlow was good at it as well, biting the screen. That's the nickname of it. You bite the screen, and you hold on, and you're, and that's it. Joe, it's same as a boxer, or Joe, you bite down on your mouth guard and you fucking mash through it, and it's the same. But you know, if you can see them making a small bit of progress, Yamaha are ahead on progress, even though they, in my opinion, are far behind where they should be. Like, they don't have test riders. They don't seem to have a plan to have test riders. Like, Cal Crutchlow is out 6 months. Can you name me who is the backup test rider? Well, we might pull in a fucking superbike rider this time. Might pull in a MotoGP rider that hasn't fucking raced in. It just does not make sense to me that, okay, you have all of these concessions. You know,
are they utilizing them? Are they really using all of the concessions that they have to get faster?
Yeah, exactly.
To say better.
So I don't know. Look, I it's one of those things that really fucking grinds my gears.
Homer? Yeah, Homer.
Yeah. I just fucking like, will you just get out and test? You have it. Get out and test. Then there's the big fucking saying, and look, let's hold on, right? Let's hold on. What the fucking point is going to test if we're going to change the engine in 12 months? Because all the data we're now going to collect is out the door. But then saying that, they're not going to race the V4 probably till 26.
It's a ways away.
I will have to change. I look at the technical regulations.
The announcers are talking like they're going to pull this V4 out in a couple of months, though.
No, Lynn Jarvis said middle of 25.
Middle of 25? Okay.
That's the ways away.
That's, right. My view on this is, I don't know in the technical regulations, can they change an engine configuration under the current regulations? But the regulations only say a 4-cylinder. They don't mandate the thing. However, the blueprint, which Yamaha don't necessarily need to stick to, that they give of the engine homologation, can be changed. Yeah, I don't know. I really need to dig down into that one, because there's a few fucking weeds inside in that there now.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like they just want to test it and just see if it's any good, and then use it later on or something, because they can't run it side by side. You can't run an inline 4 with a V4 on the same team on the same track. I don't think you can do that.
Nope.
Well, you can legally, but it costs a fortune.
You can't. No.
You're not allowed by rules.
Yeah.
So that was the pressure with the 23, engine. Don't know if you remember this, Jake, but the Ducati took half of a 22 and half 23 engine and combined them together just before the homologation date in 23, because the original 23 engine was too difficult to ride. So, but that engine had to go. So Pecco wanted that engine. He got that engine.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack Miller, who preferred the other 23 engine, had to go with that engine as well. So Pramac then took the original version of the 2023 engine. So what could happen technically? What's right? What could happen is Miguel Oliveira and Jack Miller could run a V4, and the factory team be still on the inline.
That'll be interesting. That would be good.
Yep.
I didn't know they can do that. I thought they had to run with the factory team. See, the factory team is running.
Yeah, right there, Jakey.
I need a ruler.
It's like Steward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to text you and let that frighten the shit out of you, but I said that'd be okay. No, but look, all I thought, this weekend's race was mega. You know, like today's race is probably one of the best ones that I've seen in a while.
Right.
You know, there was drama all the way through it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't go to there check it by phone too much. But saying that, you know, I did think it was interesting all the way through. Is Bastianini a deserved winner? 100% he is.
He won. A win's a win. Is that what they say? Win's a win.
It is but you know, at the end of it,
it's looking more and more though. It's looking like this sounds back asswards, but the consistency of Martin is going to pull the title out, and that title is going to go to Aprilia next year.
But you see, one of the things I can't understand with Martin, right? I get that every point in the championship is important, right? But I was looking at his pit boards as he was going, as much as I could see it. But like, there was no time where the team were saying like P2, okay. Do you know what I mean? There was no time the team were telling them, you don't have to win this. You don't have to win this at all costs. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we could be looking at it at a very fucking thing. Like Marquez could have taken 3 on the bounce, but very, very easily here, lads. Like, if that went even a slightly bit wrong in that collision, do you know what I mean? If he was a little bit more aft when they touched, our team would have went down. Simple. Do you know what I mean? And they're kind of like, is winning all that important, or take your points, stretch your lead? Do you know what I mean? That's all you need to do. You know, you came in, you know, especially when your main opponent is out of the race. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to get yourself into that situation.
They did say Pecco was out on the board.
They did say they said 1 out, right? But the next lap around, there was nothing about like P2 okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, it was like gap, like 0.2, 0.3, whatever it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Aprilia could do a little bit more in just, or not Aprilia, Pramac could do a little bit more in just managing him. Do you know what I mean? You know, like you could see, did you see what number 14 left behind number 14? Did you see that what pop up on his dashboard towards the end? Do you know what it meant?
No.
Okay. So what it actually meant was that it was a rider instruction.
Okay.
It was defend in number 14, in turn 14. That's where you're losing it. So if you go back now and watch it, do you know what I mean? And this is one of the things that
we have been around for something. That's a good pickup.
That's where the radio communication is going to come in.
Yeah, and that's what it technically it's right now, and I don't mind that, right? Because in that certain terms, like they're telling him that
it's technically illegal, right? Huh? That's technically illegal because he's coaching.
He's being coached, yeah. Well, it's illegal in Formula 1, right? But it was like rider behind 14, and I knew straight up. So normally, what everyone would think was that rider behind you is number 14, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rider behind him was number 23. But
say
we
that.
all know that Enya was much faster in the fourth last corner, or was it the third last corner? I think that's corner 14.
I was gonna say there's no 14. Nobody runs that number, so that's why I said 14. There isn't a 14. Yeah,
that's what it was. It was a message to say defend the 14.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty simple how codes up, like 2 plus 2 equals 27.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That's only us.
But like
27-degree angle.
But it's funny, like, because like I coach my young fellas football team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we're doing corners and whatnot, like I'd be telling the boys, if you're going towards the back post, you hold the ball up over your head just for a second before you place it down, right? Or if you're going to the middle of the box, you hold it straight out of your middle, and if you're going low, you hold it down towards the bottom or towards the front post.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, all right, okay. And because what everyone does is they put up their hand, and this hand means frontal post and this hand means back post. But everyone knows that. Do you know what I mean? So now you change your communication style of a different way. So everyone on your team knows what he's doing. Do you know what I mean? So for all they know, that this could mean I'm putting the ball up high. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not uncommon to have your own communication style.
But
I just thought it was funny. I just thought it was very funny when I was looking at it, and the actual thought that came into my head. And then Haji turned around after, about a couple of minutes after, and Gavin Emmett, and they were like, rider behind 14. And I was like to myself, I was like, this is defend at 14. Do you know what I mean? And
so they didn't say anything though. They didn't bring that up. That like 14.
Then they were like questioning it, and you could nearly hear the ruffle of like, who's rider 14? Do you know what I mean?
What does that mean?
And then they were like, oh, this has to be an instruction and whatever. And it was. Do you know what I mean? It was a clear instruction to give to Martin to defend it. But then saying that, you see, they couldn't use that over and over again.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean? Because you can't, like, number 4, 7, 14, you know what I mean? So, anyway, that's my interesting fact of the day, that team orders do exist. You just need to watch, and our team coaching does exist within it. Radios. There was someone said a comment about the radios, in the fact that they could be dangerous, that if a rider falls and they have a radio on them, right? So look, they have a GPS package within their letters that automatically knows
when they fall. Oh, you froze.
What would it call? Yeah, it would be.
They have GPS.
Be within the helmet. It would be. Look, they have GPS in their race suit anyway. I don't know, do you know this, but the Alpine Stars and the Dainese thing, there's GPS built into that. So I think it would be pretty easy to put a radio module that links to the rider's helmet, Bluetooth style, so that there would be no connection. For me, I think one-way radios is the way to go, not two-way.
Right. Yeah, because talking back and forth, having a full conversation would be.
Yeah, well, like look at what happened today. Look what happened today. Do you know what I mean? And there's Bastianini doing a move, and they're telling them, and then he's fucking and blinding at the stewards on the radio rather than riding his bike, and the gravel comes up and hits him. I think I think it's actually more of a danger than actually helping. One-way radio in from the red steward, or an automated one telling them that there's a yellow flag or whatnot, I think is the way to go, personally.
But you know what it is, though? I think it's that looking down, because I noticed that too. When I ride, I don't like to look down at a dash and just try to read a message. If you just tell me, hey, pick up your pace, then I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be told to pick up your pace.
That is true. I'm just saying, like a little message, somebody kind of saying something in your ear versus me trying to read going 100, 200, looking down, trying to read a message.
They would be looking at that dash quite a lot, though.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's not that they don't take any notice of what's going on to the dash, because they're looking around for tire pressures and all of this stuff already.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Despite their multiple buttons on the side of the thing, they're looking at engine mappings. They're more interactive in that dash than people realize. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
And don't forget the buttons when they have the ride height and everything else. You know.
Yeah. So, look, they're more interactive than thing. But I do get what you say. Sometimes it can be hard to read those screens, depending on light and stuff like that.
Mm.
But saying that, they also do, well, they would get a message. So let's just say long lap penalty or whatever. They would also get a notification on the start finish line as well of that. Do you know what I mean? So it's not thing. And a team message is not really an important message. Do you know what I mean? In the terms of safety and this, that, and the other, because you never see a team message go out saying pull in, black flag. Do you know what I mean? Pull in, mechanical, engine issue. You never see those going out. So, anyway, we have Indonesia coming up next weekend. So, really, well, there are races during the night for you, I think. I know they're early morning races for me. So what is it? The Indonesian Grand Prix this weekend are coming.
Is that next week? That's next week.
It's next weekend, yeah. It sure is.
Man, we get a treat. We get it back to back.
We get it back to back. 1 second. So we've Indonesia this week. And then we have Japan the following week. So we have a triple. So realistically, this week is a triple header. So what time is like the race on Sunday? My time is 8 a.m. my time. So what's that? It's 3 a.m. for you?
That's the toughest one every year for us. I feel like Japanese.
Yeah. This could be Mark Marquez.
This one was rough because we didn't know what time it was because the schedule was off.
Yeah,
I was up all night. I haven't had a wink of sleep at all.
Yeah. So this weekend is Indonesia, and that's a 3 a.m. one. Then we have Japan the following week, I think. And that's a fucker of a one for me, I think. I think that's it's perfect time for you, I think, but it's
Japanese or
the Japanese one. Yeah, I think the Japanese one starts at 6. Well, it's not so bad. It's 6 a.m. for me, so it's 1 a.m. for you. Yeah. So
I don't mind 6 a.m. ones. I don't mind. I don't like that. It's just when they don't tell you when it's supposed to be. It's going to be either 5, 6, 7. Okay, which one is it going to be? So now we can all of them.
Yeah, I'll text you and let you know an hour or two before the race if you want to.
Update.
Update. Yeah, hour thing. Did you see the new track that has been announced for Hungary?
Oh, nope.
No.
Hungary in ages.
The new track has been announced in Hungary. I think there's like 14 lefts and 10 rights. So what does that mean? Marquez country. Marquez country. Yeah, Marquez country.
That's next year?
Yeah, it's going to be included from next year. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's also going to be for superbikes. Now it looks a fantastic circuit, to be fair, but there is a load of left-hand corners. So turn 1 is right-hander, 2 is left, 3 is left, 4 is left.
Is that on purpose? They do it on purpose?
6A, 7A is left. Then there's a big sweeper. Yeah, there's fucking it is Marquez country. Like, it's just fucking hilarious. Like, you know. But yeah, that is coming from 2025, so it will be definitely interesting to see.
I have a theory about it too. have a theory about that.
About what?
Like which riders, we know Marquez is a left, but some other riders, like what sides do they prefer? What's their weakest side?
So Pecco said to Mark, or Mark said to Pecco, he will tell him his secrets about left-hand turns if Pecco tells him his secret about right-hand turns.
Yeah, there's something there.
There is
something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, who are you going for a race win on Sunday?
I'm going Jorge for the rest of almost the rest of the season, because it's his race to lose. He just has to be strategic. I think if he does not fall for close to the rest of the season, he may have it in the bag.
Okay, Jackie Poop.
I gotta go with Bagnaia.
Oh man,
his luck got to change somewhere along the line. Law of averages. He's too good.
You're jinxing him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Marquez for the race win on the Sunday. It's a dirty circuit, lads. Remember that.
Oh,
no,
you're holding back, you prick.
Winner, chicken dinner. Anyway, on that bombshell, we'll end up today. Thanks again, everyone, for joining, and we will see you again next week after the Indonesian Grand Prix.